Well, first of all, I love the movie.
Oh, thank you.
Loved it. Wonderful job. My first question is, what sparked you to do this type of film? The late. It's not really a '70s movie, but like the late '70s or very early '80s type of genre movie.
Well, I think a big part of it. Well, okay, the main reason is because I wanted to do a sort of satanic movie, thematically, and the only time that made sense to do that was the early '80s because that's when the America had this nationwide obsession with satanic cults, and it was kind of dubbed Satanic Panic, and it was really perpetuated by like Geraldo and other daytime talk shows, and I remember growing up around that, and my mom saying like, "Oh, you can't go down to the park by yourself because people will come kidnap you and sacrifice you to the devil." And what an absurd thing for people to be afraid of. And but for whatever reason, it caught on, and that's what we like as a nation were really obsessed with. And then it just sort of went away. So in making a satanic movie, it just made sense that like if there was ever a time to do it, that's when it would be, because people aren't really afraid of the devil anymore. I think there's plenty of other kind of more real life things to be preoccupied and afraid of. So that was that. And then I just I have a real fondness for that time period. So and I don't look at it as so much as like a '70s '80s stylized movie as much as it's just a period piece that took place in like early '80s. So I tried to be as authentic as possible.
It's funny you mentioned that scare. Like I wasn't really aware of that. I was probably I don't know like 7 when the movie takes place.
Uh-huh.
But I do remember like growing up, there was a rumor of some kind of place in the woods that people satanic cult did that. So maybe that was just trickling down from like my older
Yeah,
brothers.
I think that all those sort of urban legends are all part of it. And every town had their satanic church out in the woods or their road that led to hell or something like that. And well, it's just so bizarre, and I was really fascinated by that sort of hysteria that comes out of that.
Yeah, and what did you get from making the movie? Like, did you learn anything, or did it satisfy that urge to explore that subject matter?
I mean, for me, like, filmmaking is very personal for me. So, like, I had all these ideas and these thematic elements that I wanted to sort of, I don't know, explore in making the movie, and I think they're all there. I mean, I was really into the idea of like one person in a stranger's house and the weird kind of inclinations that you have to like snoop through their stuff, and then you kind of look at yourself like, why am I doing this? But you for some reason keep doing it, and I'm just fascinated by that sort of bizarreness of being in someone else's house by yourself. So that was something I kind of wanted to explore with that, and I wrote it when I was just out of college and like broke and all that stuff. So there's all sorts of like personal elements that I just wanted to sort of accomplish for my own sake in there.
Now you really, really nailed this time period. Like, how did you nail it so well?
I'm just a bit obsessive compulsive with details like that. I mean, I remember like, when Jade, the production designer, who's fantastic and deserves a lot of the credit for this as well. I mean, I remember telling her like long before we even made the movie, like we got to get those Coke cups, and she's like, I know the cups, and like you think it would be hard to find them, but we went on eBay and found them, and it was just like constantly going down, the line with things like that, like it's got to be this particular giant Walkman, or it's got to be orange headphones, and it's got to be this hat with the ball on it, and it was always just very specific, just because, I don't know, that's just how my brain works.
And enough of those adding up equals, that genuine level of authentication.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Jade, the production designer, and Robin, the costume designer, I think they did a fantastic job. And I think, even making the movie and finishing the movie, I was, thought we did a very admirable job at recreating it. But then since the movie's come out, apparently we did a better job than I thought, because everyone is like, they constantly harp on it. So, it's really a testament to how hard they worked and everything.
Well, that's good that people pick up on that. It really wasn't that hard to find all those things?
Well, I mean, Jade is the one that found most of them, so I mean, she was probably losing sleep at night trying to find them. But everything from popcorn makers to, I mean, the house doesn't look anything like that in real life. Like, we wallpapered every room, carpeted every room, completely gutted and redressed every single room. And I've just worked with Jade on 2 movies, and she's fantastic. So, it certainly was hard. I mean, making movies is very difficult and sort of traumatic, but we pulled it off.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the house, because that was one of my questions. I mean, this thing, once again, like as a kid, I went on some vacation at one point and stayed in a house like this, and I was like, 8, but I remember it, and I remember like, the 3rd level, like the little back staircase way in the back, leading like a 3rd level.
Yep.
How did you find the house? And if you could just elaborate how much more work you put into it to make it look like that.
Yeah, I mean, we found the house by just 2 location scouts, and I actually like turned it down on several occasions because it's not really anything like it is in the movie. It's not scary at all. It's like, if you see it during the day, it's like, it's not secluded. It's on a main road. There's neighbors on all 4 sides of it. and the interior doesn't look anything like it does in the movie. Like, I mean, drastically. Like, I don't know, whatever room you're in now looks more like the house than what it does in the movie. And I think, you know, the testament again to Jade is that, like, if you see the movie, you would just assume that we just walked in and started shooting because all the furniture and everything looks really appropriate. But the lady that lives there, her is not at all like that. You know, it's like crazy different, you know, couches with sheets on them and giant poodles running around everywhere. It's really bizarre. So, you know, there's an element of movie magic that, you know, you put the camera in the right place and you light it the right way, and all of a sudden it takes on this life and it becomes a character in the movie, which was the plan. But, you know, in real life, if you saw it, you would be really bummed out and go, huh, I thought it would be cooler.
That's interesting. So why not just you know, do a few more scouts and try to find one that is closer?
We couldn't find. I mean, it was the best we could do. You know, the option was like, oh, find something perfect, and the perfect never showed up. So the option was like, well, we could use this place and spend a bunch of money like retrofitting it, or we could find the perfect place, and the perfect place never showed up, and we ran out of time. So, you know, it's like, I mean, we were shooting in Connecticut because, you know, filmmaking was on sale in Connecticut. So that's the downside of those tax incentives, is you're in a state for one reason, and it's not always the best reason for filmmaking. You know, you're there to save money. So, you know, we're in Connecticut and we only had so many options, whereas if we were somewhere else, maybe we would have found the most perfect Gothic thing. But of course, in hindsight, I'm very happy with the way it turned out, and I think it's for the best because I think it's very iconic and it works very well. It's just initially it wasn't exactly as we planned.
Mm-hmm. Now, does the house have the glass on the second floor? That shot, that great shot where Samantha comes out and zooms out on her on the second floor.
Oh yeah, that sunroom is there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's bright canary yellow inside with wicker furniture. That
was a awesome moment, by the way. I want to talk a little bit about, is it Jocelyn Donahue?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Well, first of all, how'd you get her? I mean, how'd you find her? But also, like, what about her fits in the movie so well?
Well, she's actually the only person that we cast through auditions. Everyone else I had a personal relationship with. So, you know, she came in on the first day, and I just kept bringing her back like 3 or 4 times, which is a little bit more than you're supposed to, but I wanted to make sure she was really dedicated. And all the people that came in, you know, from the very beginning, you know, she did a very good job auditioning, and then at the same time she really understood the movie, and she was very intellectual about it, and she understood the tone, and she understood that it was kind of like an arty horror movie, and it wasn't like an homage, and it wasn't modern, and I think she related to the character very well. And because I think she understood all that, you know, it made it a lot easier to want to like work with her, because we were on the same page. So that just means, like, you know, less directing from my point because she understands it. So, you know, and then, yeah, I mean, she's definitely very visually striking and certainly period friendly. So I think that helps as well.
Did you know that when you were casting her, or was it like on set and you go, wow, this actually was really, really working?
Well, it's a little bit of both. I mean, you know, in real life she doesn't have feathered hair, and she doesn't wear, you know, she wears very modern clothes, so she doesn't really look quite the same as she does in the movie. But, you know, she photographs incredibly well, and she has a very classic look. So once we feathered her hair, it all, and, you know, I went to the costume houses and picked out a bunch of clothes, and she would come meet us there and try them on, and I think it all just sort of fell into place.
Yeah, that must have been awesome. Like, oh, okay, so that's lead cast role done, all set.
Yeah, which was really stressful because that's also the role like that. Whoever took that on has to carry the whole movie, and there's only so much help I can do. You know?
Yeah. No,
like, if she wasn't good. Oh no. You know?
Amazing choice. Like, it just fascinated me just watching it. I want to talk about the pacing. I totally get it. I love that type of movie. But some people, like, you just go on a message board for 2 minutes and you see, like, some bonehead being like, it's so slow. It's like, were you ever worried about that kind of pacing in today's style of filmmaking?
No, because you can't please everybody. It's subjective. And it's like, the same people that are going to go, oh my god, the movie's amazing. There's always going to be just as many, if not more, people going, it's the worst movie of all time. So it doesn't matter what movie you make, that's going to happen. So,
stick to your guns.
Yeah, I'm just like, I'm kind of a personal filmmaker, so I really don't make a movie with an audience particularly in mind. You know, I just assume that if I make the movie that I want to make and kind of get across what I want to get across, it will find its own audience.